Right, here we go. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Out of Nowhere. My guest today is Tom Dongo. Tom is widely recognized as one of the Americans paranormal and UFOs and extraterrestrials. He's the author of 8 books that focus on the paranormal, including his bestseller, The Revised Edition of Merging Dimensions, which describes the incredible, strange paranormal happenings which took place on the Bradshaw Ranch in Sedona, Arizona. Can we please welcome Tom to the show? Hello there.
Hi, Bob. It's wonderful to be back on your show again.
Yeah, I think it's about last time you was on was 2023.
Yeah.
Over 2 years ago, last time you was on the show.
Yeah.
You know, when we talk about this, I know you've been a researcher for 50 years. How did it all start for you then?
Well, I don't know the Seth Seth books. I started reading those. I had a business in Reno, Nevada, and we used to go for long walks, about an hour every noon, just to get out of the place. And I had read. And so anyway, I was out walking, and I was just walking down the sidewalk, and a giant pair of hands. I mean, this sounds crazy, but I've said it a bunch of times, and I've had people tell me the same thing. A giant pair of hands wrapped around my shoulders and was steering me down the sidewalk. And I thought, well, this is kind of weird, but it didn't scare me any. So I was going along down the sidewalk, and then they turned me to the right. And I went up into a parking lot, and I'm going. These giant hands are navigating me through parked cars, and I come to a store, and we go through the doors, and these hands have been navigating me through the aisles, and I get to the back of the store, and the hands bent me over, and I'm looking right at a book. It was Seth Speaks by Jane Roberts. So I picked it up, and I wasn't into metaphysical or anything back in those days, but I spent 6 months researching it, and that's what got me into all of this stuff, all these years later. And I am now one of the world's top experts on some of these subjects that I studied.
When did when did you start getting your own experiences?
Well, when I was, I grew up in Maine, in New England on the East Coast, and I saw UFOs early, and back then they saw UFOs over power lines, and it appeared that the UFOs were sucking electricity out of these big power lines. So I had there's a long valley in front of my house. And I watched UFOs. They were red. They had a red color, but they would fly down and fly along the wires of these big towers. And a couple of times I thought, well, gee, I'm going to go down there and see what it is. It's a good thing I didn't, because a lot of abductions evidently happened because of that. So anyway, I was coming out the door one night, and this was back. I was probably 18 years old, I guess, and I looked up, and there was it had been raining, and the clouds had parted, and it looked like a fluttering leaf. It fluttered just like a leaf, and it was red. And I watched it go between the clouds, and I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. So anyway, those are my experiences, and I have. I talk about this a lot. Like I say, I've been on. This is the 103rd time I've been on worldwide radio, so I've talked about a lot of stuff. But I have developed such strange. Somebody said I must have had alien contact somewhere, because I have such strange abilities. The University of California in Berkeley wanted me to come there for 2 weeks, and they wanted to study me. I've got so many weird things that I can do. And I turned them down, because I found out they wanted is mostly hypnosis. and I was sponsored by one of the professors at the university. So anyway,
Right.
at any rate, I turned it down, but they'd heard about my abilities. I can see into a human like into a human body like an X-ray machine, and I am one of the world's best remote viewers. I've been told that by very high people, and I proved it many, many times. So anyway, that's where I started on all that stuff.
How did you get involved with the Bradshaw Ranch then?
Oh yeah, boy, that's my book, Merging Dimensions, is all about the Bradshaw Ranch. It's a bestseller for me. But I had heard about. I really hadn't had much interest in the paranormal, but I was hearing the rumors about the strange stuff around town that had been happening on the Bradshaw Ranch, and I thought, boy, I sure would like to go out there and see this for myself. So shortly after that, Linda Bradshaw sent me a letter, and she said, "Would you? I've heard about your reputation as a researcher." Because then I was into all kinds of stuff, and so she sent some photographs of what they've been photographing out there, and they were orbs. So she invited me to come out as soon as possible. So I think it was the next day when I finally got out there, and it's the Bradshaw Ranch is way off. It's a long dirt road, about 8-mile dirt road, pretty much by itself. So I spent the next 4.5 years, 3 or 4 times a week, on the Bradshaw Ranch. I would go out at night when it's dark and stay there with Linda. And I only stayed on the ranch a couple of times. I slept in my van, but
Yeah.
I lived in town in Sedona. But we had experiences that I've been interviewed by crews all over the world, and we've had every crew. While Linda and I were out there, we had crews from everywhere in the world, camera crews. About every week, I got real bored getting interviewed by camera crews. But at any rate, Bob Bradshaw, he was an old redneck Arizona cowboy, and he came out one day, and they filmed him on. He was on national TV over this. A ship, an alien spacecraft, came over the ridge above the ranch, and it had about 50 orbs around it. They were white, and it landed in the apple orchard, the ship. And so Bob said that was enough for him. He didn't want to see any more. So Linda used to try to get him to come out, and she'd say, "Bob, you got to come out and see this." And he wouldn't. He never would, not once. He would stay in the house and watch TV when Linda and I were doing all that research. But we got, both Linda and I got real famous about this stuff. And Linda passed away about 4 years ago, and I was out camping by myself one night, and a voice came into my head. It said, "I am okay. Don't worry about me." So I'm going, well, what the heck is that? And Linda had died. Linda had died the day before. So her son called me that day, and she said, "Linda died 2 days ago." So evidently Linda was telling me she was all right.
Marvelous, isn't it? What do you think the ranch connection is with UFOs and claims of UFO sightings and mysterious lights and strange occurrences? What's so special about Bradshaw Ranch then?
I honestly don't know, but it's still going on. It's these two things happened just recently. Actually, there's a windmill. When I was on the ranch, I never went up to that windmill. It just didn't. There was something creepy about it. And so anyway, Jurgen Hess went out there, and incidentally, he's Jurgen. His grandfather was Rudolf Hess, Hitler's right-hand man.
Oh,
So
God, yeah.
Yeah, just a coincidence. So anyway, Jurgen filmed this. When you film something, there's no argument. You can't. The debunkers can't come after you. So the windmill. It was a dead quiet night, and Jurgen was out there with 4 or 5 people, and they said, let's try something. In our minds, let's ask the windmill to turn. There was no wind, none, zero. And it started to turn. And it started going faster and faster. And they're all going, wow, 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 that's amazing. So he said, let's try something else. Let's ask the windmill to reverse itself, spin the opposite direction. And it stopped. It slowly stopped, and it started spinning in the opposite direction, which is almost impossible for a windmill. But he got it on film. I saw it, and that's on the Bradshaw Ranch. So, and another researcher, Benjamin Lone Tree, he has specialized scientific equipment, and he filmed. It's some kind of a camera called a STP or something like that camera, but it will film. If he films you, if they film you with that, you look like a stick figure.
Ah, right.
Yeah, and so he was out there one night with some other researchers, and they felt something around. So they were filming. Actually, I believe it was Jurgen Hess. He was sitting in a chair, and they turned the cameras on, and a stick figure was walking towards him, but there was nobody there. And he said, now it's touching your shoulder. And Jurgen said, yeah, I can feel a hand on my shoulder. And then it sat on his lap. There were two stick figures, but it must have been, I have no idea. It might have been an Indian that died out there. I don't think it was one of the Bradshaws. That they wouldn't do that. But it's very strange. So that this stuff, it's still going on. And the U.S. government owns the Bradshaw Ranch. So, and they threatened to develop. They've been talking about developing it now for, I guess, almost 8 years. It's in ruins now, totally in ruins. But all the stuff that the U.S. government was going to build out there, they never built anything. So why? What is it? Did they read my books and scared the hell out of them? I don't know, but it. Yeah,
do you think portals open on the Bradshaw Ranch, or is the time slips there, and these certain different creatures come out then?
Well, we're surrounded by creatures we can't see, Bob. I've tried teaching remote viewing to millions and millions of people. I give it away free. I mean, they charge up to $5,000 to teach somebody. Yeah. So I gave it away free. I want to create millions of remote viewers, and don't anybody ask me to, because I'm not doing it anymore. I'm too old. I don't have the energy for that stuff. But I forgot what I was talking about. But yeah. So anyway,
what about creatures? Strange animals.
Yeah. So the famous portal was on the Bradshaw Ranch, and Linda could sense them coming out of the portal. And sometimes we were surrounded by so many beings, it felt like being in Times Square in New York. And we could smell them. And some of them smelled like roses. I mean, they had a nice smell, but then again, some of them smelled like burning tar and sulfur. One night, I've written about all these. It's in my book, Merging Dimensions. But I went to my van, and we used 35 millimeter cameras, film cameras. That's all we had back in those days. And I went in. I went into I had a big van, and I slept in it a lot. So I went in, and I was reloading my camera, and something came in behind me. I could feel it, and it smelled like burning sulfur, and it was very close to me. So Linda and I found out that on a 35 millimeter camera, when it's powered up, there's a red light on it. So we would put our thumbs over those red lights and then take pictures. We would just walk around taking flash pictures at night. That's all we did, all over the place, and then see what was on the film the next day. So anyway, I put my thumb, and I feel bad about this to this day. I think I hurt something very badly. I put my thumb over the red light on the camera and turned around suddenly and took a flash picture. And this is no joke. I'm not making this up. This stuff always is happening.
Yeah.
It looked like a giant daisy, a flower about 4 feet big, and it kind of exploded like that. And then it wilted. It like it was dying right in front of me. It just wilted to nothing. I think I heard something very badly. Caught it by surprise. I don't know what. I have no idea what, but that sort of stuff happened on the Bradshaw Ranch.
Did it used to happen quite regular on the ranch? I know you said you'd been there 4.5 years.
Well, I'm 80 years old now, so I've only been out there about the last time was actually a few months ago. It's wide open. There's no guards on it anymore, but I stopped going out to the Bradshaw Ranch about 3 years ago. I'd been out there hundreds and hundreds of times. The road is brutally rough. It's almost 4-wheel drive rough.
Yeah, I can imagine so. So, do you think the government knew what was happening there then with UFOs and aliens?
Well, I never ran into anything government out there, but other researchers have. In fact, above the Bradshaw Ranch, there's scientific equipment built there. There's two cameras pointing towards the ranch and one camera pointing straight up. And they're powered by the sun. So I've got pictures of them. So these things are government. My Jeremiah, my other researcher friend, he said he talked to government people and showed them the pictures, and he said those are CIA. That's CIA and U.S. government. So yeah, they know something because they've got those cameras out there. But what the hell were they looking for? At any rate, it proves there's something incredible that goes on out there. Well, it's like the Skinwalker Ranch. The Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, Brandon Fugel, I met him. He's a heck of a nice man. He owns the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, and he wanted to buy the Bradshaw Ranch. And I met with him and a bunch of other people. And, I told him, you might as well give up on it because the government, you're never going to buy it from the government, never ever. But I sure wish Brandon Fugel had bought the Bradshaw Ranch. Everything would be different, and there would be millions of dollars worth of cameras and radar and all kinds of stuff out there now. So it's never only, my research and Linda's research is the only true stuff, factual stuff that exists. Nothing on radar that I know of. But at any rate, that's how that stands.
Yeah, because Brandon is done well with Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, well, I know everything about the Skinwalker Ranch. I've been connected with it for a long time, and the stuff that goes on in the Skinwalker Ranch scares the hell out of me. And it's real. It's very dangerous. The Bradshaw Ranch is totally opposite. Everything that happened on the Bradshaw Ranch is good. It's benevolent, but it's malevolent on the Skinwalker Ranch.
How far, when you're talking about Bradshaw Ranch and Skinwalker, how far apart are they?
Oh, yeah. Let's see, Utah. Oh, about kilometers, about 500 kilometers.
Right. I'm sure there's lots of hot spots all over the place, besides Bradshaw and Skinwalker. I know with Skinwalker now, they're finding more out about the place. Got more research into it now, and got loads of machinery what they can use to find out things. Yeah.
It's a whole. I honestly wish I could teach millions of people how to remote view, because I have another site, and if people could only see what I see, and it's been validated. I mean, we don't have enough time, but the stuff I've seen has been validated by the U.S. government, for one. And I've worked with some of the government trained remote viewers. So I honestly wish that this world would be a different world if we had millions and millions of remote viewers, because they could see what I see and see and do something, make a move, make a decision. But there's just so much confusion, and unfortunately, it's stupidity. There's so much stupidity in the world that people just don't, they have their own agendas and whatnot, and I see a lot of it, sometimes, and I have to deal with it, and I just a lot of people they don't even comprehend what I'm trying to tell them. And that bothers me a lot. It has for a long time.
I can imagine it does as well, because what you've seen, you think, my God, is this happening here?
Yeah. In this area that I live in, I don't have, I don't have anybody to play with. I used to have Ron. He was one of the vice presidents of Lockheed Aircraft and an Air Force, U.S. Air Force colonel. And they moved to Texas, but Ron used to live here, him and his wife, and we'd sit, and talk, because he won't talk around his wife. He just won't do it, because evidently she criticizes him when he's not, when I'm not around. But we used to. I told Ron, his name's Ron Blackburn. He's one of my best friends. Anyway, we used to, we would talk about stuff, and the government follows him around even to this day. They trail him, because I've been places with Bob, with Ron, and he'll say, "You see those two guys over there? You see what's on the table? There's a little camera sitting on the table." So he's 85 years old now, and they still follow him around. So anyway, we would be in places like, I told him one day, if we were, the center of the U.S. is called the Bible Belt. I said, if somebody in a table next to us heard what we were talking about, we probably wouldn't get out of here alive. We'd be tarred and feathered and run out of town. I mean, we would talk about stuff like life on Mars, and that sort of, because he's remote viewed Mars and this life on Mars. Anyway, I've had an interesting life, that's for sure.
And you have certainly had an interesting life. Why was drones restricted on certain parts of Bradshaw Ranch then?
Say that again, Bob.
Drones. Why was drones restricted on certain parts of Bradshaw Ranch?
Yeah, the History Channel they came out here with, I was on it, and I happened to be very sick at the time. So I couldn't participate with them much, but they had some multi-million-dollar equipment, and the drones, they flew drones around, and the drones came back. They'd fly off to the Northeast, and they'd come back. They'd say they were told that they were entering, the drones were entering a military restricted zone. What the hell are they talking about? I've never known anything about it, but the drones were told. They came straight back. So, something's going on around here that I don't know about. And I've been studying this for, probably 40 years, 30 or 40 years, but it's damn strange.
I've heard that story before as well, where somebody said, "I'm going to send a drone over that area there." And it's only just got on and then turned around and come back.
Yeah.
Well, not allowing them on. Yeah, I think you have to put a certain code in or whatever. I don't know, but I presume they can send them back to you.
Well, I've met 3 extraterrestrials, not human, 3, and I had a girl materialized right in front of me, a foot in front of me, and I had a witness, my girlfriend, Petrolina, at the time, and the girl, she couldn't have been anything else. It's a long story, but anyway, so the girl materialized in front of me. We were hiking. We were way off in the middle of nowhere, and the girl wanted to talk about. There was a Indian ruin behind me, a Sanawa Indian petroglyphs in the rock, and the extraterrestrial girl wanted to talk about those, and because we were dumbfounded. I mean, something like that takes you out by surprise. You're never ready for it. Never. I don't care. So anyway, now I wish I'd have asked the girl if I could have touched her just to make sure she wasn't some kind of an illusion. So I turned at one point, I turned around to talk to Petrolina. I turned all the way around, and I turned back, and she was gone. The girl dematerialized, and I could see for hundreds of yards, all directions. So she had we'd met her earlier. It had been raining a lot the days before. It was really, really hard going, the mud and all that. And she was dressed in city clothes, which I thought was pretty strange to begin with. And she told me where the ruins were. I couldn't find them. And I've been there. I live here. They're about 10 miles from Sedona. And then she suddenly, materialized in front of me. So she had to have been an extraterrestrial. She looked about 27 years old, but she probably was 500 years old. I've heard that they can human extraterrestrials can live to about 700 years. And all these years, my main focus in the last 50 years has been human extraterrestrials. And I've met 3. There are about 17 different species of them from my research. And there are probably 120 of humanoid. They have they have one head, 2 arms, 2 legs, that kind of stuff, but they don't look human at all. Because I've remote viewed them. I've been right in front of them, remote viewing them, and I ask them questions. So I mean, it gets crazy. Remote viewing really gets crazy, and you can get caught up in spontaneous things like a murder, which I have, and it's not fun. So
when you come in contact with these extraterrestrials and all that, do they tell you anything about the future?
They do. They say it's bad. They try. Oh, I'm going to tell you this. This is between you and me. Don't tell anybody else. Don't tell anybody. Okay. I have very high level contacts, very high level, and this may just be a rumor. But the extraterrestrials are so tired of us destroying the planet, the Earth, and what we do to ourselves. They're going to make a move, and it's going to be soon. If it happens, it's going to be soon. I mean, they're not going to blow us up or anything like that. They're just sick and tired of what we're doing. And so the rumor is, and I can't go too far with this because it may just be a rumor. You know how we've all heard these things 100 times and nothing has happened. Yeah. So but this comes from a very high source. But they're so tired. The extraterrestrials are so tired of us, and we're destroying the Earth. The air's bad. The water's bad. We're destroying the forests. I mean, they can prove it. I mean, it's just easily proven. We're overpopulated. The planet is overpopulated, and the extraterrestrials they're not happy about it because this time, the research I've done, there's been at least 1, maybe 3 nuclear wars on this planet in the past. There's places in South Africa. There's places in Pakistan, and now they've never even talked about this before, but there are places near the Great Pyramid in Egypt where they're finding bodies and buried bodies, rows of buried bodies that are radioactive, and they try to hide this stuff from us. They don't want us to know. So there've been at least 1 or maybe 3 nuclear wars on this planet in the past, because there have been many civilizations here in the last billion years and some of them haven't been human. I can't, we don't have the time to go into that, but so things are going to be happening, I think. In fact, I can't talk about that. But perhaps in the next few months, I think things are really going to be happening with extraterrestrials. Well, they're doing it now with the drones. Those aren't. Some of those drones are extraterrestrials. They're not, government. Yeah, they're not government. But the things they're doing can't be drones. I mean, they're just not. Drones can't do that. So anyway, they're making a move now, the extraterrestrials, and it's good. It's a good one. they're going to. It'll be a helping move.
Good. I know they're wanting to stop these wars anyway. What are happening around the earth?
Yeah.
It must be awful for them to watch us blowing ourselves up.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. They're we were just talking about the Ukraine, because we can't get into anything political because we'll both get attacked. But it's a mess. Ukraine. It's a horrible, horrible mess. And and extraterrestrials have said, we will never let you out into the universe until you begin to take care of yourselves and love yourselves, and take care of the earth. And we are not anywhere near that now. We're just still destroying everything worse. And they're saying we have biological and nuclear weapons that are contaminating the world also. So they're sick of it. And I guess they really don't want to see this planet destroyed again.
Well, I can imagine so as well. Yeah. What do you think about Bigfoot and dogmen, werewolves?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I that's been I got notes here. Dogmen have been. I've been studying dogmen since 16. I was 16 years old. Bigfoot and dogmen was. We talked about dogmen the last time, and we have dogmen are werewolves, and they are absolutely real. And we have dogmen here in the Sedona area. We have 3, because they've been seen in different places. And I interviewed the 2 women, which I happen to know personally anyway, about these dogmen, and they're werewolves. And these things, I'm glad. I've camped all over North America, Canada, the United States, and Alaska when I was younger. And I'm sure as hell glad I never ran into a dogman. They're a very evil creature. They're cunning. They're a cunning creature. They're a werewolf. England's all been talking about them for 1,000 years.
Yes.
And they are absolutely real. In this country, the worst place for dogmen is we'll talk about Bigfoot in a minute, but the worst place for dogmen in this country is the Mississippi Valley, all the way up to Canada. And the absolute worst ones are in Texas. If I lived in Texas, if I had a ranch in Texas in the backcountry, I wouldn't go anywhere at night without a 12 gauge pump shotgun with buckshot or slugs in it, or at least a 45 pistol. When dogmen, they love to scare the bejeebers out of people, but they rarely kill a human, but they do. And when they do, the U.S. government shows up with machine guns and technological equipment and runs off into the woods. So, what are these guys? What do they know that they're not telling us? I don't know. I really don't. But they know something about dogmen that are pretty scary. So anyway, that's. And so Bigfoot evidently Bigfoot and dogmen don't get along. And Bigfoot are an incredible creature, and they're everywhere. Bigfoot is everywhere. There are different versions like Yeti, and in the Himalayas, and I don't know if you ever have you ever heard of any Bigfoot activity in England? I haven't.
Oh yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And dogmen and werewolves as well.
Yeah. And then that big black dog in England, that would scare the pants off me. That appears, and it's not a dog. So anyway, but dogmen, I mean, they can grow up to 16 feet tall, and they can run so fast, they can outrun anything. And a man had one in his sights one time, and he said it ran so fast it probably would have outrun the bullet if I'd have shot at him.
Oh God!
Yeah. Yeah. So it's in this world, being a remote viewer, I know a lot of things, and it's really hard for me sometimes because um, we're basically oblivious. The vast majority of the human race is oblivious to what's around us, but we're surrounded by unseen beings, creatures, and there's sometimes like cryptids, these monsters, and they seem to appear and disappear. They spend some time here and then disappear. So we need to understand that and deal with them. That's my attitude towards all of it.
Do you think the government know about Bigfoot then?
Oh yeah, they certainly do. Bigfoot ranges from animals to. I've interviewed people that they speak English. Bigfoot. I interviewed a woman from Oklahoma, and they had a farm in Oklahoma, and I could go on about this for an hour, but they had a Bigfoot family that lived on the farm in Oklahoma, and they got to know them, and they got to there was a little one and a husband and wife Bigfoot, and they would visit with the Bigfoot. Yeah, and this woman was totally normal. She was not a nut job. Only maybe 1% of the people I interview are crazy. They're nuts, But most of the people I interview are just like you and me, and just normal people. And she said that they could speak English, and she used to give the Big Feet books to read, and then they'd come back and critique the books. And that she's not the only one. I interviewed other people. In fact, I have a friend in, I better not say the state, bought a vast swath of land because there was a Bigfoot family living on it, and he wanted to protect them. And this guy's not nuts. I mean, if he could afford to, thousands of acres of land for a Bigfoot family, he bought it for them. So this is the kind of stuff I get into constantly. Anyway,
I've heard that they used to swap food at one time. I know native Indians used to do. They used to swap food with them.
Well, I have a friend in the CIA that actually went to Mongolia, and there was one that was a dog man. I mean, a Bigfoot that was like taught them things. Yeah, he was CIA. And he went to Mongolia to visit with this Bigfoot, and it came out, and it evidently talked telepathically. So and I mean, this guy's CIA, and I can he's proved it to me. So I mean, this is the kind of stuff I deal with. I'm too old to get out anymore. I can't get out in the field, but I have. Luckily, I'm in the middle of a network, so I get the really weird stories, that I know all the big people in research, so I hear it first,
Yeah, but that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Otherwise, like I said, I'd be riding around in my electric wheelchair or a walker or something like that, So no, I'm not that bad, but anyway, yeah. So it's my whole intention is doing good, for people in the earth. So that's been my focus, is kindness and good, and that's been what I've been trying to do for years. Something that will make a good change in the earth for people and for the earth. So that's where I'm at.
That's good for you then, But like you say, with UFOs, there's more sightings now. There's people seeing more now than ever, and at least coming forward and telling what they've seen. Like before, they thought, I better not say no because I'll get ridiculed.
When I was younger, I used to get attacked so often, debunkers, critics, naysayers, you name it. I quit 3 times. I said, I can't take any more of this. And most of the time I could prove what I was talking about, but I would get attacked from every direction. And some of these debunkers were professionals, and they were probably paid by the U.S. government or something to make you look bad, you know.
Yes.
So, and they did. I said, I can't take any more of this. You know, you get kind of a bad day, then you get attacked by one of these, you know, one of these people, and so anyway, I quit 3 times, and some UFO thing happened. I got back into it again. So in the last 10 years, I've been on this. You are the 103rd worldwide radio station I've been on. And about 100 million viewers, and I have not been criticized or attacked once. So what I'm doing is, you know, it's for real. Evidently, my knowledge is for real, and even debunkers don't attack me. And I've said time and time again, if you prove me wrong, that's the end of it. I'm not going to bicker and squabble about it for 6 months.
Joe, I know what you mean now. Yeah. Because they always think you're bloody crackers, don't they? Think you're bonkers.
Yeah, well, I knew I wasn't. The maintenance man is drilling on the wall right next to me, so you might end up hearing that. He's on the other side. He's doing something over there.
No, that's okay. That's
maybe
no problem.
Maybe if I fire a couple of shots through the wall, maybe he'll go away. But anyway, I can hear it. He's drilling. He's doing some drilling over there. So yeah, you know, I'm real happy about the things that, and you know, here in this area, this was I don't know if you know Ross Coulthard. He's from Australia. He's they came here. Sycamore Canyon in this area is one of the strangest places that ever existed on the earth, and the activity lately for the last couple of years has been pretty phenomenal. So and it's been going on constantly. Ships flying out. I've seen UFOs land there, come down 50,000 miles an hour out of the sky and slow down and land, like in Sycamore Canyon. It's a beautiful canyon. And you know, talking about Bigfoot, the Basque sheep herders back in the 1800s stopped. They refused to send their sheep through Sycamore Canyon because they would send their herds of sheep through Sycamore Canyon up to Flagstaff. The canyon is 35 miles long, and they said so many giant hairy men were stealing their sheep. They wouldn't. They stopped sending their sheep through Sycamore Canyon. So. And Bigfoot still exists, you know, out of other things. There's other things in Sycamore Canyons to UFOs. Some really negative things have happened with UFOs in Sycamore Canyon too. So, and I've heard rumors that may be true and maybe not true, but it's a fascinating place.
It's a very strange place to be, Sycamore Canyon.
Yeah, it is. I tell people even now, don't go in there alone. Go in if you're going, especially if you're going to stay overnight. Go with 2 or 3 people. It's just a strange place. As a one place, it's very, very strange. Very strange. I don't know why.
Do you think there's hot spots everywhere around the world where things happen?
Well, you know, I know some English researchers, and we've talked about this stuff a lot. I think it's Daniel Collins. He's British.
Andrew
Collins.
Yeah, I know Andrew.
Yeah, good guy. But we've sat and talked a lot about what's going on, and it's it's all over the world. And you know, the guy that found the pyramid in Bosnia, he had Dr. Sam something or other. I can't pronounce his last name, but they found skeletons around the earth, and so in some epochs there were other civilizations here on the planet, and he had a skeleton of one. If those things existed on this planet, he had a skeleton of one of these creatures, and it wasn't human, but it was I think it was the movie The Alien. It was almost a duplicate to that thing. So if
Right.
those, yeah, if those things inhabited the Earth at one time, it would not be a good place for us humans. But he had proof. He had photos of the skeleton that they found.
I'm sure there's other strange creatures. You know, when you talk about Egypt and they had people with strange heads on them, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there's stranger things out there what we don't know about or we can't see because we're not on the same frequency as them. But if we was on the same frequency, I presume we'd see them more.
Well, yeah, yeah. See, that's my turf. I investigate these things, and there are things that have come. See, oh yeah, I don't know if you saw this thing lately, but scientists now say we are in the middle of 19 dimensions, and scientists think that there are beings coming from those dimensions and visiting us, and they're really trying to be careful not to intrude on one of these dimensions. 19 dimensions they didn't know about.
All right.
So, yeah. So there's a new Google has developed something. It's called a quantum, and it's penetrating these universes, and they're really afraid that they're going to offend or trigger something, and it's going to come into our dimension. It's Google. It's a quantum. They showed a picture. It's a chip, computer chip, and this thing can penetrate evidently those dimensions.
Oh, right.
And they're really worried. Scientists are really worried we're going to start something we can't stop. So that's the world we live in these days.
It is because there's more things. We're getting to know more things about the universe now.
Yeah.
And like you say, it could be very dangerous for us.
Yeah. So it's going to get more. Yeah, it's going to get more interesting soon. People have to be ready. They have to be. I tell people, be aware, be ready, because it's going to happen, and we're going to be part of it.
Yes, be ready in case. I'm not going to say, but do you think they're just going to turn up in cities like big UFOs where everybody can see them?
Yeah, well, I think everything is going to be changing. I mean, it's just that time, that there's there's just so much going on that I can't keep up with it, and I'm in the middle of stuff, so I get sent videos and whatnot that I have to watch. And my mind, my hard drive my brain hard drive is so overloaded, I can't keep up with it. And I'm confused by a lot of it because some of it contradicts itself. So it's really, but if I find something out, I'll be the first one to give it free to the world. I've always done that. I've never tried to make money on anything.
When you've been remote viewing or anything like that, have you ever been scared for what you've seen? Think, oh my God, could that really happen?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, people are always talking about the bad guys and the good guys and the white hats and the black hats. And so one time, when I was younger, I was known to be reckless. I mean, I wasn't afraid of anything. And Yeah, so I went one time. I went looking for the guys in the black hats, the bad extraterrestrials, and unfortunately, there are. We can get into a little bit tonight. We got about 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
So anyway, lost my train of thought a little bit, but they're oh shoot, I lost my. What was I talking about, Bob?
No, probably Men in Black.
Well, yeah. I've Men in Black are absolutely real. They not anymore. They're rarely seen, but they're probably. My guess is they're extraterrestrial, because I've interviewed people that have been face to face with Men in Black, and the beings with black. In fact, I have the beings with black eyes, all black eyes. These things, they seem to have no soul. That's kind of. But I'll tell you a quick story. I was taught. Well, when I was remote viewing, I was starting to remote. I mean, I was born with a remote viewing ability. I have a different ability than trained remote viewers. I had a psychologist friend. He was testing me to see how good I was. So I lived in Sedona, and he lived in Durango, Colorado. So I would go in my mind to Durango, and so I would, I would materialize above his office windows on the second story, and go through his windows right through the glass. I did it very, very often, and then go through his office and go down the stairs. And one time, I got halfway down the stairs, and I felt I was terrified. Something was terrifying me, and I didn't know what it was. So we had a prearranged meeting at 7:30 or something like that. So I went there early. I got there half hour early. So I think, well, I can't find anything, so I continued on down the stairs, and I sat on my body was in Sedona, but I was there in Durango, Colorado. So I sat on the bottom step, because he hadn't expected me for a half hour, but I watched what he was. He had a red shirt, checkered shirt on, and blue jeans and cowboy boots and a cowboy belt.
Right.
And he was cooking something that smelled like chili. So when I talked to him, he would call. We talk on phone. I'd be following around, but he'd be talking to me on the phone. It's long. It's a hard thing to explain. But I said, what are you cooking, Tom? Is it chili? He said, no, it's some kind of sauce. But you can remote view and you can smell. I've done it many times. You can be thousands of miles away remote viewing something, and you can smell what's there. So we were walking across the dining room floor, and he was a psychologist, trained psychologist, and so I said, Tom, what are you alone here? I mean, we had this agreement. It was just me and him and his dogs. But Tom, I have a feeling there's somebody else here somewhere. He sheepishly, he said, well, I invited my next door neighbor over, and I said, well, Tom, where is he? And he said, he's sitting right there on the couch, and I could see the couch clearly. And I said, Tom, there's nobody there. I can't see anybody there. And to this day, that freaks me out, because I've never run into another remote viewer that's had that kind of experience that I had.
Right.
So yeah, and so somebody on one of the shows I was on said he's probably a man. He didn't have a soul, and I thought, that fits. He's a human that doesn't have a soul, because that's what it felt like. And I couldn't see him. I could see the couch clearly, but Tom said he's sitting right there. I couldn't see him. So that's even to this day that freaks me out.
I bet it did.
Yeah. I mean, I have experiences like that. That's why, I've been on so many shows, and I really, in my old age now, I really enjoy these shows because there's so many other things I can't do anymore. So
It's nice
you
to
know,
get. It's nice to talk about it.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's experiences I've had, true experiences that very, very few people on this planet, other people have had, because I've gone after, like I said, I hunted them on their turf, and I did. I could have been killed easily, but I never was. I was never hurt in any way.
I'm
So
going to say, did you
yeah.
did you ever have a visit from the government?
Yeah, no, not direct. Good question. I get asked that often, but my phone has been tapped often, but no direct, no direct. Like and these guys, CIA, FBI, all those guys, they all wear shiny shoes, So if you get a couple of guys come to your door and look down, if they got real shiny shoes, they're CIA or something, So. As I've met a
Do you
few of
think
them.
you've ever? Do you think you've been followed then?
No, when I was with Ron, we were, but myself, no. Interestingly enough, no.
But we're on you was.
Yeah, we were in a casino, and he said, "You see those two guys over there?" And he said they follow me all the time. And he's 80. I think he just turned 85 years old, and they still follow him. And he said, "You see, look what's on the table between those two guys." And it looked like a cell phone, but it wasn't. It was a microphone. And they're recording, filming us. They were maybe 10 feet away, another table. And the one guy was up. One guy looked like an accountant. The other guy looked like a jarhead, a military jarhead. And he came by. When he walked by our table, he gave me a real bad snarl look, So he was right. He was right. They were checking up on him. But me myself, not that I know of. My phone's been tapped, but other than that, no interference.
Well, when we talked briefly about Men in Black, I had a visit from Men in Black, 2017.
Yeah.
Scared me.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
was on my own at the time.
Yeah.
And it was like warning me what I'd seen in the sky and warning me off it, and said that we would always watch you. And I've always said to Paul, anytime when we've been out, I said, make sure that we're always together and never go out on his own no more.
Yeah.
So we've been warned about that in the past, saying, don't go to Benton on your own no more. There's people watching you.
Yeah. Well, they probably got a big dossier on you and me. Yeah. I got to do a crass commercial for myself. This is my book, Merging Dimensions. Everybody buy Merging Dimensions. It's my bread and butter.
Yes.
Merging Dimensions. Yeah.
Where can people get it then?
Amazon. Unfortunately, it's awfully expensive in England. But Amazon is the only distributor I have now. All my books are on Amazon.
Right.
But unfortunately, it is awfully expensive in England or Denmark and whatever.
Yes,
merging Dimensions. Everybody go out and buy a copy of Merging Dimensions in the U.S.
Yes. I'm sure everybody would like to read that as well, about Bradshaw Ranch and what's been happening there and other things.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming on the show at short notice. It's been very interesting, again, as usual.
Yeah, well, this is the third time. Yeah, we have fun, Bob. It was like I say, never boring, Oh,
no, never boring. No, that's so true as well. We always have a good show, talk about all strange things, and you've got so much knowledge about all them, about what you've done all them years ago.
Yeah. Well, us old guys got to take care of ourselves, Bob. So you take care of yourself, okay?
And you, hey, and you too as well. And I'll catch
Yeah.
you again some
Yeah.
other time.
All right.
And thank you again.
Yeah.
Just finished the
Namaste.
show.
Namaste. Namaste.
Yeah. Just finished.